Welcome to Steadfast Strength, the Mom Fitness Podcast. I'm Kelsey, and here we're going to be diving into health, fitness, life for busy moms. Today I have Alex Gill with me.
Hello.
So I own a gym, Eagle Athletic Club. I do an online coaching program called Steadfast Strength, and this is our first launch of the podcast. Today we're going to dive into the myth of balance, and I brought Alex along because she is what I would define as a busy mom.
It's a beautiful
So Alex, tell them a little bit about what makes you a busy mom.
I currently teach third grade, and I've been doing that for about 8 or 9 years. I have 2 little ones at home, and one of them's 4, and then I have a 14-month-old, and they keep me very busy as it is. But one thing I have found, especially working with Kelsey and just being a part of the Eagle Athletic Gym for the past couple years, is how important it is to make time for yourself. And even though you have such busy seasons of life, getting healthy and staying fit at the gym has been so important to me, and just been such a good thing for my life.
Yeah, so Alex, full-time teacher, married, 2 kids. She doesn't just teach, but coaches wrestling. She coaches here at the gym with me. Yeah, it's more than just teaching. You got a lot going on.
Yeah.
And then, just to give you everyone some background, she's also working out and training for specific things. What are some things that you've trained for recently?
So a couple months ago, probably 10 months after I had my daughter, I ran my first full marathon, and that was such a huge accomplishment. I actually tried to do one probably 7 years ago, and I made it to mile 25 and then passed out before I could finish. So just finishing that after having my daughter and my second kid was a huge accomplishment for me, but I honestly couldn't have done it without you and some of those things. And just honestly being strong and fit has been really beneficial to me too, and just something that I've really enjoyed doing.
So lots of things vying for time. Now, to give everyone some background on me, I was also a teacher before diving full time into the fitness world. When I was teaching, I decided that I wanted to get into running a gym and having my own gym. So while I was pregnant with my first daughter, I started the gym. Was doing some online coaching at the time, also teaching full time. Then I thought it would be a good idea to start a coffee shop in town because we love our coffee. And our town didn't have one. So I was we need a place for moms to hang out or go while the kids are sleeping in the car. So I thought it would be a good idea to start a coffee shop. So working full time, I also wasn't comfortable giving my kids over to childcare for some reason. I know that's probably something we can talk about too as we get more into balance. But so I was trying to be a full-time stay-at-home mom, trying to work full-time, trying to start entrepreneurial ventures.
Yeah, you're crazy. That was a lot.
It was a lot. But I just kept telling myself I can make it all happen.
Crazy in a good way.
Yeah, crazy in a good way, telling myself that I could do it all. But then also what I came to find out was that that's not possible.
Unrealistic.
Yeah, it's not realistic. So I don't know, can you talk a little bit about what you feel I feel our society is always telling us that we can do it all, which is why I thought I could do it all.
Yeah. So like for an example, like I just got done coaching wrestling. So it was junior high girls wrestling, which was, I loved it so much and I learned a ton. But like working out had to take a back seat, and that's just how it was at that point. And I knew it was only a month and a half of coaching, so I could get in once or twice a week when I could, but I didn't like let it bother me that much that like I knew I was going to come back into it, and I knew it was just like a season of life and like a moment in time where I couldn't be here as much as I wanted to, but I also had like other priorities. Like I had to see my family for a little bit, and I had to teach and coach and just like, you know, sleep maybe sometimes. But so I think that is like a big part of like finding that balance and like knowing that it's just a season of life that we're in.
Yeah, I feel like something that I've bought into is like being excellent at everything all the time.
Yeah.
And like what I found is that that's just not true. Like I cannot do everything full send all the time.
Yeah. And then like even training wise, like marathon training, like you were helping me a lot with this, but I knew I couldn't like be in here and like be lifting the heaviest that I've ever lifted because I was also running for a ton of time. So like it goes with everything that you do too, like work, training, cycles, like everything is just a balance.
Right. So if that old idea, or maybe some of like what we see on social media, like how is she a full-time mom? How is she doing all these
How is
things?
her house so clean?
Okay, everyone who has a clean house and posts that, get out of here. No, it's not real life. Yeah, like how is her house so clean? Why are her kids so well behaved? How are they doing these adventures? This idea of balance that we maybe see on social media of perfect house, full-time mom, social media influencer, making millions of dollars, also having time for her fitness, like is like we think that that's real, but I don't think that that's real.
No. Yeah, I feel like that's what's been so hard too. It's like, yeah, you see all of these people doing all of these things and looking so beautiful, and their house is perfect and everything in their life is like perfect, and you're like, what am I doing wrong? But knowing that that's not real life.
It's not real. I was talking to someone this morning at the gym, and they were saying, I saw this woman and she has her own business and she was promoting like, get in there and do the work, it's important. And then I found out she has a live-in nanny. Like, that makes a difference, you know? Like,
I need one of those.
I know, like, that makes a huge difference. And good for her for having the means to do that. Yeah. But for a lot of us, it's just not real. Yeah. So if we have to redefine what balance is because we actually don't have the capacity to go, again, full send on all of these different priorities, how do we decide what to give our time, what to make the priority?
Yeah. Like for me, it's just knowing how much I can do and like what my priorities are. Like right now or during like the wrestling season, like that was my job and I had to do that, but I also needed time for my family. So maybe working out and running and that kind of thing wasn't like what I was capable of doing at that point, but I knew that eventually like it would be done. Like I saw an end in sight. So that was where I could like put all of my time and effort into coaching and into my kids. And then eventually, like now I'm back into it, which has been really good. And it's just.
And in that season, do you just stop? Like, is it like, okay, I have to teach full time. Yeah. I have to coach wrestling full time. I have to make food for my kids because otherwise.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, so getting home at, 6:00 at night, after not sleeping the night before because of children and after going to like teaching full time at school and then coaching and then like going home and like trying to make a dinner, like something that my husband was really great about during that season was like cooking and doing some things for me like that. So that was really helpful there.
Good job, Michael.
Yeah. Good job, honey. So like that was super helpful. And then, but sometimes like I'd put the kids to bed and I'd go out in my garage and just like, even if it was a 10-minute on the bike, or even if it was, okay, I'm going to go on a 10, 15, 20-minute run. Like, I just got to get something in.
And why? Like, let me pause you there. Like, why do you have to get something in? Is that like a psychological, like, addiction, like in a negative way, or?
No, it just makes me feel so much better. Like, right after I had my daughter, I mean, it was like January and it was freezing cold. And so you couldn't go outside. I knew I had this like race coming up. So I was like, okay, I need to actually like move my body a little bit. So I would like just spend 20 minutes in the garage riding our little exercise bike. And it just made me feel so much better. And I really need to start getting back into that. But sleep is good too. But I just thought that it made me feel so much better. And like I realized then that I'm like, even if I'm not like in my best like physical workout shape, like I need to do something to move my body and to like just make me feel better.
Love that.
Yeah.
So for me, like this redefining balance, figuring it out, I have to be very intentional. Like I almost have to stop and journal or something that this is my priority right now. Because otherwise I just keep going. I just keep going. And I think that everything is important all the time. Yeah. I need like a pause to figure out what's important.
And I'm kind of the opposite of that. Like I am not much of a planner or like a like I need to do this and this and this, but it's like if I get it in, I do, and that's great. And if I don't, and I'll be okay with that too. So
yeah. So there's some personality difference there.
Yeah.
And I think that that's important to recognize in people around us too. I mean, we don't want to play the comparison game because comparison is the thief of joy. And people are just wired differently. So you might have like an easier time transitioning priorities where someone else who's a little bit more type A might have a more difficult time being like not taking responsibility for everything all the time. So for me, I have to really, again, like write it down, tape it to my forehead. Like this week, I have a lot of business stuff I have to get done. So I'm going to hire babysitters for my kids. They're going to be okay for a week. Those kinds of things. Talking about the fitness part, like squeezing in the fitness, if that's what we're calling it. Do you feel like you're able to stay focused on your goals even in those busy seasons? Or do you feel like...
It's definitely harder, and but I just have to be okay with like knowing that I'm not going to be at my best like physical strength and like my fastest self. But like I said, like I know it's coming, and I know I'm going to have time for that. Something that I do want to mention like too is the reason that I started coming to like Eagle Athletic Club in the first place is because you have like childcare. And being okay with like spending time for myself, even though I am super, super busy. I just like Saturdays, like we never had wrestling on Saturdays. So making sure that I take my kids, we come to the gym, they're in their little playroom with the babysitter, and I get my workout in, and then we can have the rest of our Saturday. And like I know that I took that time for myself. So that was been really, really huge. Like if you can find something like that, it's been like life-changing for me.
Does it take away from your kids?
No, they love it. They love coming to the gym. And like, I think, I mean, and that's for like another episode too, but like, I love how like my son will be like, are we going to the gym today? Can we go to the gym? And then like, when we're done working out, the kids can come into the gym and like play, and they get to see that side of me too. So that's like especially like having daughters too, that's exciting to like bring them into.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Them with their little dumbbells.
I know. Yeah.
So fun.
Would all of our kids have like barbells that they're like 5 pound, 10 pound barbells that they just love. And I love seeing it.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm a better mom.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like if I have these things building up in me and I'm constantly sacrificing for what I think is best for my kids, I'm not actually giving them my best self because I'm not healthy. But when I take the time to like build muscle and like take that mental health or whatever self-care form it is.
Like even if it is just one Saturday, like once a week, like even just like the social part of it and just my mental part of it it's been really, really good. It's not selfish. It's better in the long run.
Absolutely. I think like what about, so you said even if it's just one time a week, something like that, which again, balance, you have to scale back a little bit sometimes. But what if you're at ground zero right now?
Yeah.
You're not doing anything. You're stuck in this cycle. Your kids aren't sleeping. You're getting up, going to work every day. How do you even get started?
Start out small. Like start off like, I mean, I know it's freezing cold outside right now, but like walking was really big. Like, I mean, and after like having babies, like that's the only thing that you could do. And even just a 10-minute walk with a stroller, like was a really good just boost. So start off small and like, don't be intimidated because, like, I feel like we're in this really good part of like social life right now where it's like people aren't judging you for being at the gym and like they're not going to judge you for not being as strong or not knowing what you're doing because everybody right now is like excited for people to join gyms and stuff. So I don't know, just start small.
Yeah. I think, well, there's multiple dimensions of health too.
Yeah.
So I think even choosing something that you're enthusiastic about. A lot of people
hiking.
Yeah, yeah, maybe you love to cook. So maybe it's focusing a small step of nutrition, like instead of putting sugar in, find a substitution. If that's an easy, actionable step for you. If it is getting your body moving, one thing I need to like do the research on it. But the screen time thing for moms, I feel like there's so much pressure on that. Like, don't let your kids have screen time, blah, blah.
But at the same time, like, how are you going to cook dinner? Or just kidding. But
go paint, and then there's paint everywhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's hard. And so for those moms who don't have access to a gym, like we do, I think putting on a PBS show for 20 minutes. So when I'm stuck at home watching the kids and I know that I'm not going to get the opportunity to lift weights or work out in the way that I would prefer, I put a yoga episode on the TV. The kids do yoga. I ride my Peloton and we call it good.
Like I mean, my 4-year-old, he doesn't necessarily nap anymore, but we always have like you need a 30-minute quiet time. So if he's in his room and his sister's sleeping, like that's a time where you can get it into. Now, that's a lot easier said than done because there's obviously like so many other things to do during that time. But if you don't have like access to like childcare, like you provide it, that would be hard. That would be a really hard one.
So we're kind of transitioning into some time management hacks here, like let the kids do some screen instructed movement while you're getting your movement in.
Like practical ways to make it work.
Practical ways to make it work. Because again, like in the perfect world, I could instruct my children to practice their handwriting and be lifting weights all by myself. But when you don't have the resources and the help, or you're in a location where you just don't have access to those things, or financial restraints to be a part of a gym or whatever, how can you still make progress, not just on fitness, but overall well-being? So thinking nutrition, fitness, intellectual health, relational health, like what are some hacks?
I would say like start with like small, like manageable goals. So maybe it's like you're going to meal prep one healthy protein packed veggie meal a week, and like start off small with that. And then once you like have that down, maybe add 1 or 2 more for the week. And I am not perfect at this by any means. So that's been something that has been helpful for me. And my husband is doing some training right now, and he's been big on like making sure that we have a big protein meal at night. So I think like getting your spouse or other people on board that can help you with that goal. He's been really good about like making me think about meals, and himself thinking about meals, and like how we can work together to be healthy for our family.
I hear a lot of women asking for recipes all the time, and it stresses me out because
I just asked you for one yesterday.
Yeah. Okay, well, I can give that to you.
Okay.
But actually, I don't have a recipe because I just mixed things together.
Yeah.
But the reason that recipes stress me out is because it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
Like I have to go shopping for all these ingredients. I have to cut these things up and saute them before we can cook them. The multi-step process, the shopping for it, that stuff overwhelms me.
I feel like you guys are really, like, your family's really good about that. Like, I'm like, what do you guys eat? And you're like, chicken and rice and veggies. And I'm like, what else? She's like, that's pretty much it.
But there's variety because sometimes we give it an Asian flair and sometimes we give it a Mexican food flair. Yeah. But I feel like if you want to, I mean, there are times to eat for pleasure.
Yeah.
And food is social. So, of course, there's that. And if you have the talent to prepare wonderful meals and it doesn't stress you out, go for it.
That's awesome.
You can have a job here. Just kidding, we can't pay you yet. But for me, that's not my reality. So for me, we do a lot of salad packs and like bulk crock pot meals because that does not take my time to put a bunch of chicken breasts in a crock pot and let them cook while I'm doing other things. But if you have the mindset that you have to prepare these elaborate meals, it can be such a hindrance to making progress. Or like you said, like start with one protein-packed meal a week. And if you're not doing any of that, if you're not being intentional with that now, that's progress. Like it doesn't have to be that every single meal is perfect, but starting somewhere is still going to put you on the trajectory to end up in a different place than not doing anything.
And even like once a week or 5 minutes a day, like that can make a huge difference, I feel like.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, so that's nutrition and fitness. I want to just briefly touch on some of the other elements of well-being. One that I struggle with, I love to learn. That's something that I know about myself. And if I'm not having the time to learn, I just feel blah. So I get really sick of listening to, you know, whatever kids show is on the radio during the day. And I get really angry when I'm driving by myself and I'm still listening to a Molly of Denali story when I could have been listening to something that was teaching me. But I've found that like on low impact days or slower run days, putting in a podcast instead of just listening to like the rap that makes me go hard.
See, I'm the opposite. I don't listen to anything.
Oh yeah.
I just listen to the nature.
But is that
and my breathing?
Is that peaceful and relaxing for you? So you get your like meditation in while you're running, I guess, if that's possible. But again, without being like overwhelmed by having to do it all, if there are easy ways for you to multitask, I mean, moms, we're the queens of multitasking. So if there are easy ways that bring you joy and bring you pleasure, that you could do that, like putting your headphones in and listening to a podcast while you're shopping, or I don't know. You have any other ideas?
I am not a reader at all, but I'm really proud of myself because I read one full book last year. And when I did that, I was like, okay, I can't just sit. If I sit down in my bed and read, I'm going to fall asleep. So that's when I got like on my little bike and I rode my little bike and then I like read my book while I was biking. And I did that for like the 4 months it took me to finish my book.
That's great.
But so like a little step things that you can throw in there. I don't know.
Okay, and I see a lot of people posting goals right now. It's January. Thanks for admitting that you read one book last year.
I'm really proud of myself, actually.
That is so real.
Yeah.
You know, you could just not address that and not do anything, or you can start with one realistic goal, and no matter how long it takes you, you just keep chipping away.
2 this year.
2! It's great. It's so good. That's so good. Thanks, Alex.
Yeah.
Progress over perfection. Something is better than nothing. Okay, so for me, I like journaling. It's a habit that I've let slide, but I notice that when I take time to write whether it's my goals or my priorities or even my prayers. When I write down my prayers and I can go back and look and see like what's happening in my life, it just gives me points to reference, which again, that'll be a topic for another discussion too, about actual goal setting and like in measuring progress, because a lot of people go crazy when they try to start something and don't measure their progress. But anyhow, my challenge to listeners would be to be intentional with that. Like, what does balance mean to you? Maybe that's a journal prompt. What's one step you can take toward feeling healthier this week, whether that's in the fitness realm, the nutrition realm, the self-care, emotional, spiritual, intellectual realm. And if you are up for taking on that challenge, writing that down, being intentional with that, then I don't know.
Yeah.
Share it.
Yeah.
Yeah, share it
Go
with
for
us.
it.
Yeah, we're getting Instagram, YouTube, like write it down somewhere and then share it with us so we can comment on it. And Alex, again, she's a super busy mom. I had to get her in on Christmas break, steal a couple moments of her time. But I definitely want her back on the podcast. And as we move forward into future episodes, I'll be pulling in other coaches that teach with me. So next week, we plan to dive into strength training and why it's important for moms. And so you guys will get to meet Emily, who has just like come on fire with fitness and nutrition and wellness. So how to actually get started with some strength training and why that might be important even as you're navigating mom life.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.
See you next time.
Bye.
It's a beautiful life.